the heart of East Tennessee. This is 10 News at 5.
Hackers took over a Knoxville Community Forum website today, displaying, as you can see, pro-Syrian government propaganda. Knox Blabs website shows images of Syria's dictator, guns, bombings, and masses of people. The hackers also have a message, quote, from Syria to the world, saying they are, quote, with our leader, Bashar al-Assad. Knox Blabs site administrator says his provider told him the Syrian Electronic Freedom Army hacked the site, but there's no way to prove it. That's the same pro-Syrian group accused of hacking 10 websites just last month, including the New York Times, Twitter, and the Huffington Post UK site. That is all according to the Wall Street Journal. Joining us now to talk more about the hacking is Dan Thompson of Claris Networks. We mentioned New York Times, Twitter, and now Knox Blabs. It kind of seems ironic to be in this company.
That's sure, yeah. So, I mean, essentially what these guys are doing is just literally scanning the internet, looking for specific vulnerabilities, and when they find them, they attack them and deface the website, move on to the next one. And it's nothing against Knox Blab. They just happen to have a website that was vulnerable to whatever attack these guys used.
You made it sound pretty simple. How difficult of a task is it to hack someone's website?
Well, so it depends. So there's really a couple of different ways that they do this. Number one is they'll use a common set of usernames and passwords and just basically try over and over and over again. We call that a brute force attack, to try to log in, and then they'll deface the website that way. Another way is that they'll scan commonly known vulnerabilities, and if the server replies a certain way, they know that that vulnerability exists, and then they'll throw the attack at the server. And at that point, it's trivially easy. So there's the guys that kind of use these things that are known, and then there's the guys that go out and discover things. So the guys that discover things are your more high-end hackers, usually employed by governments elsewhere. The lower-end guys, I'm guessing like these Syrian guys, are just using what somebody else already figured out, and just, we call them script kiddies. This is probably a little bit more advanced than script kiddies, but essentially they've just discovered an exploit and are taking advantage.
Now, I would imagine that the New York Times has a, pretty involved security system in place, especially compared to Knox Blabs. Talk about perhaps the security systems that both have.
So typically what companies will employ is an internet defense system or intrusion detection system, something like that. Got a little tongue-tied there, but anyway, so what this system does is designed to sit there and look for these specific attacks. Knox Blabs have no idea if they have something like that, but the challenge with being on the internet is you're on the internet. So you have to expose a certain amount of things to the internet, and at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter just a whole lot what you do. If you have that exposed and then there's a vulnerability there, attackers can exploit it. You can see that it happened, and after the fact you can say, okay, well, here's who did it. But it can be hard if you're not keeping up with your updates and you're not using secure passwords and things like that. It can be hard to lock those systems down.
It seems like we're hearing about more and more foreign groups trying to hack American websites. Is that true, and what's their goal?
Yeah, sure. So we refer to these guys as hacktivists. So their point is to do exactly what they've done with the Knox Blab website, which is to put their message up there and out there for the world to see. Who knows how many people actually saw the message, but just their goal is to kind of get their voice heard. So, a lot of us, generally you would maybe take an ad out in a newspaper or, make your own website, and these guys have unfortunately found that their voice is best heard by hacking websites.
Only got a few minutes or seconds left, rather. Quick tips for prevention.
So always keep up with your updates. Always use secure passwords. I'm guessing with this Knox Blab site, it's using a free downloadable forum to host their website, and I'm sure what happened was that was just not updated properly, or maybe an insecure password was used. But those are things you have to do. Over and above that, have your IDP, your IDS systems ready and updated as well.
Yeah, stay on top of that. All right,
That's right.
Dan, good to see you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for coming in. Well, the Commuter Challenge coming up next, the month-long initiative to get Knoxville employees